Hi, and welcome to another episode of Rue News. I'm Abby Higginbotham.
And I'm Darius Stewart. We're here to bring you the news from around campus and Kansas City every Tuesday.
We start today's show with the news of the horrific shooting last Sunday in Kansas City, Kansas. 4 people were killed and 5 others were injured. We here at Rue News want to send our condolences to the families of those killed in this tragedy.
Shootings such as the one on Sunday have become more and more common, with an astonishing 334 mass shootings nationwide taking place in 2019 alone. In August, Kansas City's city council members introduced 2 new ordinances aimed at combating mass shootings and gun crime. Henry Gamber has more on this story.
I'm Henry Gamber, and this is Rue News. With many recent shootings around the KC area, many citizens have felt concerned about their safety and have wondered what their government officials can do to stop this. We spoke to law professor Alan Rostron and student Charisma Sewell to get their perspective on this issue.
In general, well, we have these 3 levels of government, and for the most part, they're able to each do their own thing on most subjects. But guns are a little bit different because there is a state law that preempts local regulation of guns. A lot of states have this. It's sort of a result of the fact that in a lot of states, politically, the state as a whole may be more conservative than some of the cities within the state. And so the state as a whole, the legislature doesn't want the cities like St. Louis and Kansas City to be going off on their own and doing things. There's a couple things the local people can do. I mean, obviously law enforcement is within the control of the local police department and that sort of thing. They can maybe push to a limited extent. They could change laws, but just as long as it's not something that conflicts with the state law that goes beyond what that is. Otherwise, I mean, they could also ask the state General Assembly to change things, or ask Congress to change things at the federal level. But for the most part, in Missouri at least, local governments, their hands are pretty much tied.
I know there's a lot of people who are against this, the idea of having like gun reform, and they feel like people really want to take away their guns. But honestly, we're all just saying like, I want to be safe. I want to go on campus and not have to figure out where I should sit if someone decides to come in the class and start shooting people. I don't want to have to think about if I should jump out the window or if I should just fight the attacker.
With the Missouri legislature debating campus carry and City Hall implementing new gun control ordinances, it's important to stay on top of this important, dynamic issue.
Thanks, Henry. The last meeting of the Senate faculty brought in a new idea for the general education program. Presented by Dr. McNeely and Dr. Ryberg Cox, the program, called Gen Ed 2.0, would introduce e-portfolios for students and put greater emphasis on community service in the program. Additionally, Dr. McNeely suggested that math courses be offered in differing paths rather than one single algebra course. From the faculty side, Dr. Ryberg Cox proposed conversation sections in courses so first-year students can better engage with their teachers.
UMKC was donated a symbolic statue by Brazilian sculptor Flavio Sequeira. Sequeira spent 3 months creating a bronze statue entitled Any Words Except Wait. The life-size piece shows a young woman striding confidently forward with a steady gaze, seemingly unaware of the tall stack of books balanced perfectly atop of her head. Sequeira's sculpture adds yet another beautiful art piece to UMKC's campus.
Believe it or not, we're already halfway through the semester, and that means midterms. To help mitigate the problems students usually face during this season, we go back to Henry Gamber with more.
With midterms approaching, students need to make sure they use their best studying techniques to prepare for success. Today I spoke with senior peer academic leader Sadie Billings and academic success coordinator Megan Elson to hear their best midterm advice.
In my role, I actually plan and facilitate the Summer Bridge Scholars Program, and I also support student learning through developing what we call RU Up seminars, and it's providing online videos to students at UMKC to learn new academic skills. As freshmen, students come to me, I think that they underestimate the amount of time that they need to prepare for their midterms, and so they end up cramming really last minute, pulling an all-nighter, and not realizing that their brain actually isn't retaining a lot of that information if they're staying up all night studying without taking a lot of breaks. My first tip would be to access the resources that you're already paying for within your tuition. So going to SI sessions, going to tutoring sessions, using the writing studio to help you prepare if there's any essays in your midterms. And then I also would recommend that you guys utilize something called a study session planner, which is just a way to take a really big study goal and break it down into small tasks that you can accomplish so that you don't feel super overwhelmed right before midterms.
With my communications, I write a lot, but I do have a minor in history, so we have to learn a lot of terms. And so what I do is I take those terms, I write down everything I know about them. Some people call it a brain dump, and I fill in the blanks of like the things that I didn't know, and so that way I can get all the information out. There's a lot of procrastination, and there's a lot of not asking questions. I am a senior and I still procrastinate. It's okay, I'm aware. Use your resources. There is tutoring, you have your peer academic leaders, your RAs, your professors, office hours. Use all of those resources because there are going to be questions you don't know the answer to, and they might be able to help you.
With midterms already on their way, students need to make sure to use every resource at their disposal to make sure they are ready for success. I'm Henry Gamber, and this is RU News.
All of us here at RU News are happy to introduce UNews sports editor Kennedy Bright to our RU News team.
Let's hear from Kennedy with the latest in UMKC sports.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. Up first, Kansas City women's volleyball battled hard in its third conference game against Grand Canyon University last Monday, but came up short, losing 3-1. From libero Maddie Wren to setter Allie Schumers, the whole team fed off each other's energy. The perfectly executed slides and blocks from Kansas City did not shake the Antelopes, who snatched the last set 25-22 to seal the victory for GCU. The Roos rebounded from this hard-fought defeat with a straight-set road win over Chicago State last Friday. Melanie Brecka led the way offensively, finishing with a game-high of 16 kills. The victory moved to Kansas City's 18th win over the Cougars in their last 19 meetings. Kansas City continues their road trip with matches against Utah Valley and Seattle U before returning home to play New Mexico State on October 17th. Up next, Kansas City women's soccer began conference play with a 1-1 draw against UTRGV Friday night at Durwood Stadium. The Vaqueros opened up the game in the 17th minute, jumping out in front with a goal, forcing the Roos to play with urgency. The Roos forwards used their speed as a distraction and eventually broke through in the 39th minute when Amanda Sampton found Emma Wilson near the post, where Wilson craftily scored a goal into the back of the net. After 90 minutes of intense play, the game was still at 1-1 goal apiece. Kansas City hits the road for matches against Grand Canyon on Thursday and CSU Bakersfield on Saturday before heading back home to play Utah Valley on October 20th. This is Kennedy with RU News. Back to you, Darius and Abby.
Thanks, Kennedy, for that sports update.
That's all we have for you today. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of RU News. I'm Darius Stewart.
And I'm Abby Higginbotham. See you next Tuesday.